Hello there, and welcome to our endeavor to create a school management application trying to use a microservices or at least a service-oriented approach, trying to orchestrate everything with .NET 8, Aspire, and also to use Blazor SSR. Hello Gregory, and thank you very much for tuning in. So the stream past week or last week was fairly successful. Now I expect this one to not be as successful as the other one, because usually the first live stream is always a little bit more successful than the others, but I still hope to get a lot of you here. So if you are watching right now either on YouTube or on Twitch, please just say hello and please let me know where are you watching from. That's very important to me to understand exactly where all my viewers are, and kind of like it gives also a sense of let's say belonging, and this is what I enjoy the most when doing live streams. Cool. So let's say, so this time I will also live stream on Twitch, because the experiment last time with LinkedIn was not that successful, and yeah, I thought let's go also back to Twitch, where I have a brand new channel called Code Wrinkles. And yeah, I also stream there, but I don't really expect to have a lot of success there based on previous experiences. So we see here that we have people from Paris. That's very, very nice. A very nice city. From Lithuania, a country where I always want to visit, but I never visited. That's kind of like nice. And Italy. Where from Italy? Italy is a country where I lived for 6 years, basically. So yeah, it's a country fairly familiar to me. And Daniele Giovinetti, who is also a Code Wrinkles member, thank you very much for joining. That's kind of cool to still have you here, because I know that you started to play a lot more with Angular. And then we have hello from Thailand. Hello, very nice to meet you. I guess the weather in Thailand is kind of like totally different than in Romania right now. From Miami, USA. I think also the weather is kind of like very different there. So from where I'm now, as you can see, basically also, I guess on my screen it's -3 Celsius. So yeah. Luca, you are from Bologna. I visited Bologna quite a few times. I stayed in Rome mostly. Okay, before we get started, just for those of you who are newer here, I just wanted, maybe you don't know, but I have started very recently a newsletter, and my promise is that this newsletter tries, and I think it also achieves, to be different than most of the other newsletters, because it kind of like really helps you to get into the engineering thinking, so not becoming just a better coder, but becoming a better engineer. And this here is the link to the newsletter, so feel free to subscribe. I have created and sent out the first newsletter last Thursday, but I think I will send another newsletter this Thursday, which I think will be very interesting. So feel free to subscribe, and I would totally appreciate that. Okay, besides this, I know that last time out there were some people that were also coding along with me. And there was a problem because I don't want to spend really a lot of time on the CSS part and HTML and stuff like that. I want to do on this stream more Blazor and .NET and, well, everything around it. So this time I was thinking to organize myself a little bit better, also for the cases where people want to code along. And for the component that we will implement today, I have created a gist on GitHub, where I have basically added all the files that contain the isolated CSS that we will add, and that already also contain the HTML part. So I myself will basically copy the things from there when I will get to work with them, and then I will just, well, we'll try to concentrate on the Blazor part of things. So if you want to code along, here you will find all the CSS and HTML that we will use throughout the stream. And depending how fast we move, obviously we can go even more than that. But then if I add a new file, I will also add it to the gist, so you will be able to find it there. Okay, I'm trying to look a little bit at the comments here. Yeah, from Twitch I already got some spam bots. That's nice. Very nice experience. I guess it happens. Cool. So who else has tuned in and where are you watching from? I see 17 viewers right now on YouTube. That's quite nice. And on Twitch, 1. Okay. Let me check my Twitter also to see if somebody said something regarding this stream, but probably not. Cool. Okay, so then let's try to get started. Let's try to remember where we left off last time. Also, let me know if you can hear me well enough and if everything's okay. So let me just run the application, because last time out we have implemented the very basic authentication part. So when we were managed to basically log in, and also implemented the logout functionality and the redirect to login, and everything obviously orchestrated with .NET Aspire, which starts right now but a little bit slower, but I will bring it on the screen right when it starts. So does anyone plan to code along today, or just watching? And by the way, feel free to ask me anything. I feel like I should also add this to the title, like the Ask Me Anything part. I want this stream to be as interactive as possible, so whenever you have some questions or some things, or you just want to discuss something that, I don't know, might be recently happened in the .NET community, or have some questions or whatever, just feel free to hit the chat and let me know what your thoughts are about on a certain topic, or if you have some questions, and I'm totally open to talk about that. That would be very, very nice. So right now in the .NET Aspire project, we only have one single project, which is our web project. So that's why I have only this one here, but I guess I can access it. And I think this is the user login, and I think this should be the one. Now let's see if I remember my password. Yep, I did remember it. So right now we don't have a layout, we don't have anything else. We have this just blank hello world, but now the login actually was okay. And then, for instance, if I hit the logout endpoint, then I will be logged out and automatically redirect back to login. But even if I try to go to the home page, I will still be redirected to the login. So yeah, let's log in again. And yeah, now we should stay logged in for the rest of, or at least for the remainder of this stream. Okay. Hello Lakshman from India. Thank you very much for tuning in. I guess it's fairly late in India already, so thank you very much for joining at this late hour. Cool, so that's what we have right now. And obviously the next things that we want to do is implement probably the basic layout that we want to have for the main layout part. And then to start implementing, the first thing that I would like to add to my application is the ability to see all the roles that I have in the application, and to actually add new roles so that I then later assign them basically to users when we will start to create students and teachers and things similar to that. Okay, so I see another comment. These series are great for us, like juniors, to see. Thank you. I am glad you find it helpful. And from Calgary, Canada. I guess in Canada it's fairly early right now. Cool. So to start with that, we already have in these components, we have this layout. So if we have this layout folder, basically what we will do is we will have, or we will add all the layout components already here. But for other functionalities, I have added this feature folder and then some subfolders here, like for identity and access management, for the account, and then we'll add some roles today. But I guess the first thing that we would need to concentrate is on this main layout. And here I already have in this main layout, I guess this is the default that comes in when you create a new Blazor template, but without the, let's say, counter and weather forecast. You should have this error UI stuff already here in this isolated CSS file. Now, what I will add here is from the gist that I have mentioned before, and just in case somebody missed it, I'll just copy it again. So I have placed in a gist on GitHub all the CSS files and the HTML that we will use throughout today's stream. And if we go further than that, I will also add them to the gist while or before starting to code them. So if you go to that gist, here we should look for this main layout, CSS, main layout.razor.css. Okay. And here it also contains the Blazor UI, but we'll just copy everything and let's see. Let's just copy everything. Maybe I'll make this a little bit smaller. Please let me know if the font is big enough so that you can see it correctly. That would be very, very important. And then in the main layout itself, like in the, so I have copied over everything that I had on the gist, and on the main layout.razor, here we have this body. This body we will not need anymore because it's containing what I will paste here, and I paste this also from the same gist. Obviously, here this nav menu is a component that we will have to create. So right now it will show an error. So that's totally fine and it's expected. Okay, let's see here. C7 could not join the session, just to say hi and we'll watch the replay. Thank you very much for dropping by and saying hello. I totally appreciate that. The font size is good. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. So is it possible to quickly grow to authentication that you implemented here? I'm all the way from Nepal. Okay, Arjun. Okay, sure, we will go to. So authentication in Blazor, in the new Blazor in .NET 8 is actually very, very easy when you compare it to the Blazor WebAssembly or Blazor service server in previous .NET releases. And the reason why I think it's way easier is because we don't need to use CSS/HTML files anymore. So everything right now is just a component. So if we start from scratch, the first thing that I have created here is an authentication layout or a layout for the authentication page. Now the reason that I did this is because initially I wanted to maybe also have here a user registration page that would be using the same layout. But in the end I came to the conclusion that in this case, since it will be a school management system, it's not something that me as a user, I will simply go there and just, register for this application. So no, probably an administrator or some secretary or anybody will create basically the account. So there won't be any registration. But I have created this layout, and as you can see, we know that it's a layout because it inherits this layout component base. And also I added this allow anonymous, because as we have basically implemented this redirect to login for all the users that are not authenticated, this login page should be also available for anonymous users, because otherwise you cannot log in. Like it's just like we are running circles. So we need it to be accessible. And then basically what I have here, it's a very, very simple component. If we go here on this login.razor, and here in this login.razor, I just have an edit form. And edit form is a component that comes in built in with Blazor. It was also there in .NET 7, in .NET 6 even. So it's kind of like a very, very powerful feature. And it's more powerful, I would say, with this new Blazor 8. And the reason why I say this is because here we have something like that's called enhanced form navigation. And that's actually kind of cool because you have form, and on the form you obviously have a button on which you need to click in order to log in. Now, when you click on a button, theoretically this is interactivity. So theoretically we would need to add interactivity to our component. But if the button is inside a form and it's basically a form post, what it will happen is that the blazor.web.js files that get shipped to the browser right when you basically start the application, that will intercept the fact that I clicked this button and that I want to make a post to log in. And in that case, it will simply use the fetch API, make the post itself, and then it will just simply return the results. So I don't need to add interactivity to this page at all. As you can see, basically it's no interactivity defined. So it means it's server-side or statically rendered by default. So this form post kind of like is very nice because you can have this form posting while users have a regular single page application behavior, but you don't really need to add interactivity, which is very nice once again. And in fact, actually, I think I can also demo that. So let me just run it again. Let me know if you think that it might be useful to show this demo for how this enhanced post navigation works. Sorry, this is enhanced post form or form posting or whatever. Cool. So the application starts. Let me just bring it back. Let me bring it here on this screen. So since this project is placed in this .NET Aspire host, basically we start the host of Aspire first, and from there we can navigate to all our, or to the desired applications. Right now we have just one. Now, for instance, let me put this here and let me put this here. Then let me open the developer tools, and here I want to go on network. Now, take a look exactly what happens when I click here on this login. So you see that it's this one on pending, and it waits for the login to succeed. And only afterwards, basically, it gets all the data. And we can see here basically that it just made this fetch request and it waited until everything was there. And then obviously we had this redirect that redirected us to the home page. But you see that from the user perspective, I didn't have to do anything. Basically, it felt like a regular, let's say, single page application behavior. But what it happened is that it did the post basically, or actually, I think it was not on this login. Let me log out again. Or it was actually on the login, because that was the method initially. And then I had this, okay, it was a post on the login. Then I waited for everything to happen, and then the redirect came back and I was then redirected. But as you can see, I received also the authentication cookie. So this is how this enhanced post form or form posting works in Blazor, and that's kind of nice. Now, the way this is kind of like wired up in Blazor under the hood, because in your application you might have different forms. So how does Blazor know exactly which form do you want to post? Now, the idea is that you need to provide this form name, and based on this form name, it will find the form that you wanted to post, and it will kind of like activate this component again and do the posting and execute the method here behind. And what we did here in this method behind, so we see here a lot of commented code. Now, the reason I have this commented code is because on the very first login, what I wanted to do is also register my user, and register my user with some additional claims like the first name and the last name, and also add me a super role, or add a super admin role to my identity system. And this role is basically persisted in the database and then adding me to this role. So that's why this code is commented out, because I wanted it to run it only once on the first login, let's say. And then after that, basically when you log in, you just need a sign-in manager and then just password sign-in async, and then provide the email, the password. This true I have provided because I want this sign-in to be persistent, and this lockout on failure false. I don't want to lock out my account, and then I navigate back to the home page. So this is what I return from here. And more or less, that's actually how this login works. Now, how the redirect to login works in Blazor, and that's kind of like a very nice, let's say, story. So, for instance, if you go, where is it, this route.razor. So if you remember that in Blazor server, or well, even in Blazor WebAssembly, but in previous versions, for authentication to work, you needed to wrap basically your router into the cascaded authentication component. Now, this is not needed anymore in Blazor.NET 8, because the way that you can do this is by just simply a cascading authentication service. And where I did this here in my code is I have created some extensions on, in this case, I think on the iService collection. And no, I guess it's on this one. Okay. No, I guess it's still this one. Sorry. Yes. So you see that the first thing that we did here is services add cascading authentication state. And this helps me, or this allows me to not wrap the routes component into this cascading authentication state. So that's kind of like a very nice thing to do. And then for the redirect to login, so if this cascading authentication state is basically set up, the way that you can achieve this easily is by specifying on the imports.razor. Basically, you need to specify on the imports.razor in each occasion where you use an imports file. So basically in each folder where you want to place components, you need to add this attribute authorize. And this will kind of like trigger the fact that I need, or only authenticated users should be able to kind of like see that. Now, in order to configure exactly where should the redirect go, we need to configure the cookie for that. And to configure the cookie for that, we actually have created a service which is called cookie events. And in these cookie events on the cookie, I have overridden this redirect to login. And I have specified that my redirect to URI should be /login. Because by default in the cookie, the redirect URI would be /account/login. So I have configured it here. Obviously, this service is added into the dependency injection container, and you see that I have edited as scoped, and then I configure the application cookie, and I say that for events type, it should look into the cookie event and basically take all the things that I have overridden there. So this is how I basically implemented this redirect to login functionality in Blazor here in the .NET 8 version of Blazor. So that's quite interesting and kind of like very easy to set up. But now I have remembered another thing that's kind of like important with that route.razor file, because the thing is, although no, I think I'm okay with that. So let me check. Are people still watching? And it seems that yes, we still have viewers. Cool. Thank you very much for still being here. So yeah, that's basically a walkthrough. How did we set up the authentication last time out? And the logout, actually, it's very easy. It's very simple. So we have just specified a page with the logout. So this would be the route for our page. And the only thing that we do here, we don't have any type of markup. We only want that when this component is initialized, we use the sign-in manager to sign out the user, and then use the navigation manager to navigate back to the home page. Now, since we navigate to the home page after the logout, so we are not authenticated anymore, Blazor will automatically redirect us to the login because we have set it up previously. So yeah, that's mostly how authentication works here. Cool. So if there are any other questions, just please let me know and we'll try to answer them. But that's the setup for this basic authentication thing here in this Blazor. Okay, let me just close a lot of things here. Because okay, main layout. So here we have the main layout and we have the main layout razor.css. Okay, cool. So now I guess the next part would be to create this nav menu. Because nav menu is kind of like very important, but that nav menu will have different nav links. And since nav links might be a little bit more complicated, because for some features we might have nested basically nav links, for others we might have direct nav links, so there are a little bit different. So I think that, well, one good way to actually continue with this is to provide a component for the nav link, or basically components for different types of nav links. So let me, right now I want to create a nav link that would group all the things that I can do, for instance, as a super administrator, let's say, or maybe later we'll have a user manager role or whatever roles we might still need in that application that are able to manage stuff, let's say. So that's why before we actually create the nav menu, we will add another component here, and let's add Razor component. And in this Razor component, I'm not sure why it's that slow, but I guess when I open for the first time different windows, it's slow. So this would be a navigation link, a nested navigation link that contains basically links to different subsections of this functionality. So I will call it YAM for Identity and Access Management, or IAM. And then the component will be navlink, which will hold all the navlinks for this. And what we can do here is, the first thing that I want to do is, obviously I will not need this anymore. And the first thing that I want to do is to create a CSS file. And for this I have an extension that's kind of like very cool. I use it all the time. It's called Blazor, and it's developed by Jimmy Engstrom. So it's like this. So I see there was a question, why are there two DB context lines? That's actually a good question. And I think I explained that also last time, but I have a lot of videos that actually explain that, but I will go through it once again. Just one thing is, for this Blazor component, one of the things that you can do is you can right click and it offers you these context menu entries, like create isolated CSS, create isolated JavaScript, create code behind. It easily allows you to extract, if you have something in the code directive, to extract it into a code behind file. So it comes in very, very handy if you do kind of like really work on a Blazor project. It saves you a lot of time. So here I will just create an isolated CSS file, and it has created a file for me. So what I will do, I will just copy from my gist that I also have published here on the comments. So for those who want to code along, and it's from the page that's called yamnavlink.razor.css, and that would be the CSS for that. And the corresponding HTML for this, it's in a file that's called yamnavlink.razor, obviously, and this is the code for that. So basically what this code is, kind of like, it uses the bootstrap toggle features that we can toggle components on and off. And we have basically a main button, and in that main button, we basically have then sub items that are grouped here in this div class collapse. And here there are different areas for navigations, to roles, to students, and to teachers for now. But probably we'll add some more in the future. Now we have this nav link. So then I guess we can create the nav menu. And for this, also on the gist that I have placed there. And for people that are newer here, if somebody is watching from the beginning, can you please maybe copy paste the link once again in the chat so that newer people can also see it? Cool. So now we are just create a new component here. Let's raise a component, and we'll call this nav menu. And once again, here we will not need this anymore. And also in this nav menu, we'll have an create isolated CSS file. And I'll go to the isolated CSS and take all the CSS that I have already prepared. Basically in this CSS, there are some kind of like icons that are used, but I don't think that all the icons will work properly, but nevertheless, I won't spend a lot of time on fixing CSS and HTML issue, so we will concentrate on what we have here. Cool. So now we have the CSS for the nav menu, and then we also need the HTML for the nav menu. And this nav menu, I don't think we'll need any type of code here, is something like this. Here we have this authorized view. Okay, Ah, that's actually nice. Cool. Let me just do this. Why doesn't it suggest me to add the necessary usings? Ah, I guess it does, but it's just slower. Okay, so this authorized view should right now be okay. Now for the nav link, oh no, I don't want to remove the tag. I have a nav link. What's the problem? I guess I spelled something wrong here. Because the L should also be capital. And I'm not sure if this helps. Let me close the CSS file because I don't want to get distracted by that. Still doesn't want to see it. Okay, so let me just do this manually. Using smart school .web .components dot Let me just delete this. I'm not sure why it's not picking it up. Probably because I misspelled it. So now it's it. No. If I use non-capital, still doesn't see it. Did I save all the files? Let me check. Okay, one other thing that happens sometimes is that kind of like I have to close the files and bring them back. No, I don't want to remove this tag. Let me just put it this way. Okay, let's try again. If you have any idea, then please feel free to add the using statement. I wanted to do this, but theoretically they are in the same folder. I shouldn't need to have a using statement for this. And the project is web, and here we are in the components folder, and then we are in the layout. Yeah, and now it kind of like, but why didn't it see it? I'm confused about this. Maybe it's not in the imports. Maybe, yeah, I guess that's the problem. Let's yeah, we could have moved actually both of them. So let me move. Although the first one, I guess it should be there in the imports. No, seems it was not. Now, since I have it in the imports, still doesn't want to pick it up. I'm not sure why. Okay, let me just take this back. And go to the nav menu and don't waste too much time on it. But not there, here. Okay, so now I should be able to see it. So theoretically right now, only if I am a super admin, I should be able to actually see this. Let me check if we still have any other type of issues, but let me run the applications, because I think this is something that we can already test. Till the application starts, I want to say hello to everybody that has joined a little bit later. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's highly appreciated. And I would appreciate it even more if you can drop a hello in the comments and just let me know where you are watching from. I would totally appreciate that, to have a sense of all the geographies where people are watching from. That would be totally nice. Cool, so this is my Aspire dashboard. Let's go to the application. And here I can see hello world. And yeah, I can see that obviously something is already not working properly from the layout part. Because theoretically I am signed in and I am a super admin, so I should be able to see the layout. I'm not sure exactly why I'm not able to see the layout. Let's take a look again. So we have this main layout, and in the main layout we have the menu, the nav menu, and then we have the body. Okay, and we have added all the CSS stuff. And here in the nav menu we have the different links. We go to the nav menu. So it's something like that. Hello from Nigeria. Thank you very much, Victor, for joining from Nigeria. Okay. Yep, seems that something is not... Okay, I think I want to remove this one. I'm not sure exactly why this one was in there in the first place, because I don't need that, and I also want to get rid of this on click, because I think I have reused this from another project, and probably that's why I had those things. Let's use the hot reload feature and navigate back to this application. Okay, so now we don't have the chat box, but we still don't have the layout. The hot reload was kind of like very slow, but the layout is still missing. What am I doing wrong here? Because basically exactly the same setup was working in another application that I have prepared previously. So what am I doing wrong? I am authenticated, that's for sure, because that's why I can see hello world. But then let me go to the component. That's I think it's, no, it's not. I have added bootstrap, so that shouldn't be a problem, and also the styles for the application in this one. So pages, home, page title, okay, and in the routing, and that's the migrations that we have created previously. So we have this app assembly, then we have found, and default layout is the main layout, which is the layout that I have created. So theoretically we have this layout. Yeah, super admin spelling. Actually, that's a very good idea, but theoretically the problem is that I think the super admin spelling is wrong, so you're right with that. But theoretically, I should still see the layout. I shouldn't see just the nav links for identity and access management. So that should be the only thing that I shouldn't be able to view theoretically. But yeah, let me check again. Okay, because I think the role that we have added was like this. So that's That's for sure one of the problems, but it still doesn't explain why the layout isn't displayed. So let me go back. That's strange. Maybe because if I don't have, okay, you see that's kind of like nice. But I still can see it. So I can see the layout, but I don't see the navigation, which is once again strange. But let me check another thing. So in this login, where we have created the term, but yeah, the name of the role was exactly this. So theoretically, right now, I have this role. So here I don't need anything, so nothing checks for the authorization. Here once again, okay, this checks for the authorization, and if authorized, then I can see the yum nav link. Okay, but then this yum nav link that should contain some stuff here, and actually it doesn't. Let me just refresh, go to browser tools. Let me check. Do I have something in the console? Resource. Okay, 404. What do you try to load? Okay, the fav icon. Okay, but that's not really a problem. So let me just refresh again. So the only problem that I have is with this fav icon. So that kind of like is no real problem. But then everything is basically loaded correctly. So here I have everything. So why am I not able to see all the stuff here? I think I forgot something that might be actually very, very important. I'm actually fairly sure I did forget it. So, because in this routes.razor, so here we just found, but we don't provide information that it should use an authorized route view. So theoretically, what we should do here is come here and authorize route view. Yeah, but I don't want all the stuff here to be. No. Just edit for me using Microsoft ASP.NET Core components. Okay. But why do you still have a problem here? Probably because I have to specify this basically route data, and the route data is, well, exactly what we have here. And then we also need to specify the default layout, but here I have too many quotes. Okay, then default layout equals, and it would be actually exactly the same stuff here. No, something still doesn't work correctly. Not sure exactly why. Cool. And then basically actually what we need to do is have this found And in the found, here I need the context route data, but not context menu. What? Context. Okay. And this would be actually route data. Okay, and then the authorized view should be basically here. So I'll paste it here, and now it should work. Cool. Focus navigate. Yeah, that's something that we'll also bring over, I guess, in this authorized route view, but we'll put it just below. And I guess now everything should be fine. So are you still there? Is anybody still there? Cool. So now if we found, so if the route is found, then we want to use the authorized route view, and then we specify all the stuff that we have here. So let me run the application again. I think that might have been the problem. And the reason I forgot this is because I have started from a blank template without authentication. I have added everything manually, and I think I forgot to actually add this, which was a very important part. So let's see. Let me bring it on this screen. Okay, I guess it's still loading. Okay, so now I can see this. I still can't see the content that I have there. Now the other thing that I want to look into is, so in the where was this nav menu? Let me change this to manager. Let me go back to the browser. So no, basically it's exactly the same thing. You know what? Let's check the logs here. But no, I don't have any. Let me check here. No, so there are no exceptions logged here. So basically, the problem is that somehow the authorization process still doesn't kick in accordingly. So let me go back. Let me put once again superadmin. Now this should be the correct one. But at least the thing that will solve it right now, even if I have the role, even if I don't have the role, then I'm still basically you know what, let me try to check this. Okay. You know what, but I guess we'll have to, yeah. I'll have to add some code here. So what I'll do here is I'll inject the out state without semicolon, and what I'll do here is I will simply override the onInitialized. Initialized, so it would be this one, and I'll say here var user equals out state dot user. And if I place a breakpoint here, theoretically we should be able to see everything that it is that we have in the user, and we should be able to also see the role claims. So let me just check that. So here we are. We go to the application. Okay, can we provide value for out state on type smart school? Okay, authentication state provider. Yes. This is an async. Okay. So let me override async task on initialized async. Then await. And now everything should be fine. So let's run it again. So a lot of hiccups this time. Okay, let me bring this here. Okay, what are you reconnecting? I think something went wrong with the application. Yep, something went wrong with the application, but I'm not sure exactly what. Why is this happening? We are still in debug mode and everything worked previously, so maybe I'll try to find out when. Now it worked. I don't know what happened previously. Well, so if we go right now on this user, let's check out. So user is authenticated. We see that it is true. So let me claims. Do I have all the claims here? No public claims. No, but if I go on identity, then here I have once again claims, and I have 8 claims. And I see that I have the first name, I have the last name, which is correct. And then I have the role claim. So I have this role claim, which is super admin. So didn't I type it correctly? So I have it. It's here. My role claim is here. I don't know. Let me check this. And this is only the role claim itself. So I kind of like have it. So yeah, it's this one. Why do I have the feeling that I simply did forget something that would probably be very, very, very simple, but I kind of like totally miss it. Okay, so let's say I think I have another command. Try to show yum nav link without roles. Okay, that's also a good idea. So let me go here on yum nav. No, not this one. it would be in the nav menu. And just have it like this. And we don't need this method anymore because we know that I have the role. So the role is totally there. We don't need the object authentication state. Okay, so let's run again. Oh, add authorization. So the add authorization, I think we have added, but the middleware, I think we haven't. So that's correct. So let me run this again. But I still can't see it. So it's not because of the authorization. Something I'm missing here, but I really don't understand what. So let's navigate once again. We have the main layout, and we know that we can see the main layout. We know that we can also see the body, so we know that it is actually working. So in the main layout, we have kind of like this is the sidebar, and we have the CSS for the sidebar that shows the sidebar. Then we have the navigation menu, and the navigation menu has this div, and it also shows this one. Let's change this to more cool because this is how we name the application. So we also know that this actually works. So the only thing that kind of like, I guess, probably there's a CSS trouble. That navbar scrollable. So let me just maybe remove this class here. Although this should theoretically just make it scrollable if I have too many items there. And that's just a flex column, so that shouldn't be a problem. And here I have this YAM link, and in this YAM link I just have div at least this should be kind of like visible. I don't know, let's maybe just remove this span here, because I'm not sure I want to display the icons, however, or we can add these, we can add those later. Let me just check the bootstrap. Can you add the CSS directly into the Razor component? Theoretically, yes, you can just add the CSS in line like you do in regular HTML. Other than that, you need to use this this isolated CSS file that we have created, basically. But even if the CSS would not work, I should still be able to see very ugly written identity and access management. So at least this one. Then data, okay, bootstrap toggle, and it's the collapse, and the target is the YAM menu, and this is the one. So kind of like this should be fine. Here we have these different nav links. So at least this initial button should kind of like be visible. I'm not sure exactly why this happens. So home, we don't need the home, we don't need the import. So once again, we have the main layout. That's working. In the nav menu, we also know that it's working. Now the only thing that's not working is this nav link. Yeah, let's try without this class. I don't know, but obviously that shouldn't be the case. So yeah, it's still nothing here. And I think I'm missing something very obvious. Hmm. That's actually a very, very tough one. And to be honest, I kind of like really, I feel it's really something very, very simple that I missed to add something somewhere, but I can't really understand what and where. Let me just take a div here, go to the nav menu, and add it directly here, and do a hot reload. Now this one is visible. Okay, cool. So I think probably we'll skip all the fancy stuff right now with creating this kind of like nested nav menu, because probably then it's something regarding the CSS part that's not there, and that was there in the project that I have that I previously had. Cool. So let's simply just try to change this. So first of all, let's go to the nav menu, and to the nav menu to the and probably I will solve this problem probably off stream until the next week when we'll have the next one, and then we'll have a nested bar, and yeah, we'll start from there. So right now from this one I just want to remove this because I don't want to have it anymore. So I'll go back to the yum nav link, and what we'll do here is I'll remove this entire button here. I remove this class collapse. Probably it has something to do with the collapse part. Okay, I will just leave the ID, and then I will have these links to... What's with this song here? It's a strange one. Let's go to another one. Cool. So I have these 3 different links here that go to different stuff, so I should be able to see this in the nav menu. And let's add back the authorization. Authorize view here. We just spent a lot of time on a thing that's probably CSS related and bootstrap, and something not going wrong with the collapse stuff. Now in the authorize it should be like this. Actually, what your changes cannot be applied as they are not supported by hot reload. Okay, then I'll just stop it and run it again. I'm amazed that I still have viewers after spending so much time on this basically HTML CSS bootstrap issue. Yeah, see, that's what I want to avoid in these streams, but unfortunately things don't always go our way or the way that we want them to go. So let's go back. Okay, so now I can see it. But why? Because theoretically this should right now take okay, but not here. So by default it should take the authenticated if the user is authenticated. Now I want to have here roles. Let's have per admin. And probably this is where I have to check the middleware, that I have this use authorization and stuff. So yeah, let's go back. And I guess it's still not working. Yeah, so I guess I have to close this and try to look into the authorization part. Hmm. You know what? Theoretically, it should work even without. So theoretically, what we have here is, but this is not. Oh, it is. It's okay. Okay, so here we configure identity, and configure identities. We adding the DB context, the DB context factory, and the DB context. And as I said, we'll come to this, but when we'll work on the component to actually implement, let's say, CRUD on roles. So add roles, that's important because otherwise the identity system wouldn't be able to extract the role from the cookie. So we have added this. Sorry. Then we have add sign-in manager, and yeah, that's kind of like okay. And then we have this configure authentication where we add the cascading authentication. We add the authentication state provider. Add authentication revalidation, which we have added previously, add identity cookie, and then the cookie events. So basically that's all that we do. Theoretically, authorization should work by default basically in these newer versions. So not exactly sure why this doesn't really work this way, but yeah, let me go here, configure here I configure identity. So now this is one other thing. Okay, services add authentication. So authentication we have added, but let's maybe also theoretically we shouldn't need to do this, except we want to add custom authorization policies, but this is not a custom authorization policy. This is kind of like built in into the mechanism. Probably we would add authorization policies at a certain point. So I have had components not show up because I was missing a using in my imports. Yep, that's definitely could be true, but in that case, it should generate at least some warnings, I guess. But my experience so far is that it always generated also some warnings. So kind of like it's still not. Let me check again in the I don't want this one. I want to close it, authorized. The strange thing is that if I don't have these roles here, it should work, this one. That's the strange part, because I'm authenticated and this is the default mechanism that it actually takes. And if we don't do this, if we just use the navlink outside the authorized view, then basically it will work. No, why not? What happens again? Sounds like it was working before. So it means that once again, probably the problem is not the authorization. Crazy, crazy. So let me go to this yum navlink. We have this ID, nav item. All these things are basically default stuff, so nothing is custom, it's everything that... So everything is default bootstrap. Like it's the same thing. If I take this, let me do it like this. Did I use the hot reload? Yep. So now basically the other one is visible. So I guess we have two problems basically. No, we don't, because I am able to see this. You see? So I am able to see this, and even if I put here roles equals super admin, I will still see this. So it's still something, I don't know, that it doesn't really like. So now I am a super admin and I can see this. And now let's, I don't know, call this just manager. And right now I shouldn't be able to view this once again, because I don't have this role. So I don't think that the hot reload actually worked. That's once again strange. Let me run the application from scratch. Because right now I don't have the manager role, so theoretically I shouldn't be able to see this. No. What errors? Why do I have errors? Oh my god, why am I so stupid? Because on the authorized view, we need to specify the roles, not on the authorized. Oh my god, oh. I guess that's when you do streams on Monday after a full day of work. Things like this tend to happen, probably. And this is the reason why it was also not working before. The problem in I am navlink for sure. Yeah, but I really don't understand why, because it's regular bootstrap classes there, so I have really moved everything away. Probably it has something to do with the CSS that kind of like we had previously. But you know what we'll do? I'll just move all the components, or the one that I need, I'll just move directly in the nav menu. And as said, I will solve this. I will see to solve this problem then off stream, and starting next time we'll have the code that has a really collapsible menu there. So yeah, right now I don't see that anymore because I simply don't use it. So I am not a manager. I am a super admin. And if I come here back and change this to super admin and run the hot reload, now everything should work. So what this actually confirms to me is that, you know, I didn't get anything wrong with the ASP.NET Core stuff, but I got everything wrong with HTML and CSS, which is story of my life, essentially. So now I can see it, you see? Now everything is visible. So to not get stuck and blocked here on this stuff here. What I will do here on the nav link, I will just simply delete this component at all, and from it I will just take this one that I want to have for roles that navigates me to the IAM, so or YAM roles. So let's just take this one and I'll put it directly here instead of this div here. Cool, so now I should be able to have these roles and I should be navigated to the roles. Obviously right now it would be not found. So let me just check. Okay, I'm not sure what happens here, but it doesn't really get updated. Did I do the hot reload stuff, or is this a hot reload problem? Now it's okay. Now it's roles, and if I go to okay, 404 not found. Obviously because I don't have this stuff here. So for now I guess we'll keep it this way, and we'll continue working on it like this, and then we'll see how we can actually proceed further. Cool. Now the only thing that I would like to do right now is to take a short break, like 10 minutes break, and then we'll continue to implement this role stuff. So what we want to have, first of all, to have a very simple list of roles and a button through which we can add a role and a button through which we can delete a role, and just something like that should be fine, should be okay. So yeah, I will be on break for, as said, around 10 minutes. So at around let's say 30, I will be back. I don't know, in my case it's 8:23, so at around 8:30 p.m. I will be back and we'll continue. I really want to implement the entire roles functionality in this stream, so I will keep coding it and hope that you can still stay tuned with me and that we can go together through this. So go grab something to eat or some drinks or whatever you need, and hope to see you here in a few minutes.
Could you hold me tight? Don't turn on the lights. I don't wanna fight with you. Hold me tight. Could you hold me tight? Could you hold me tight? Don't turn on the lights. I don't wanna fight with you.
Okay, I am back. Sorry, it did take a little bit longer, so it really took 10 minutes, and I'm sorry for that. Thank you very much for still standing by. I see that we are still 20 viewers, so we kind of like half dropped. Let me tune down the volume on the music a little bit, but I guess we should be good to go. Cool. So if there is anybody new here that wasn't here before, and it is actually the first time here on the stream, I also want to let you know that I have newsletter, and I have just released the newsletter, so it's basically 1 week old. I just sent it once, and it will contain some very practical stuff that is meant to make you a better engineer, I think, and not just a better coder. So it's not just coding tips. Let's use switch expressions, like I did a short today on that, but it's not like that in the newsletter. It's like real thinking about how should we approach different stuff that we need to code, like how we should think about the problems that we need to solve and how we want to solve them in an optimal way. So that's what the newsletter is about. And if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, I will send once again the link here. And yes, I will very much enjoy to have you there. And obviously also let me know about the feedback if you don't like the newsletter that you receive, or if you would like to see something else. It would be highly appreciated if you can get in touch. So I would totally appreciate that. Cool. So this being said, right now I just want to have some basic CRUD on this idea of roles. Now to implement that, I will want to go back to these features, and not under account. I will create a new subfolder here, and I will call it roles. And here I will have to still add different components, and hope that this time it will go better than for the menu itself. And I think that for roles, I think I haven't included the files in the gist, but I will do it right now if you just bear with me for a second. So here I have, actually there are 3 components that I want to have here, but didn't I really add this? No, I think I didn't. So yeah, let me just edit here. This I'm already editing it. That shouldn't take too long, so just bear 1 second. And the gist, I will post the link once again if you're newer. If somebody wants to code along, I add here basically the HTML roles list. Blazor, that should be the file. Okay, so that is one of them. Then the second one is the add role model, and I think this will also because I think I have this in the project where I have prepared this actually beforehand. Initially I was trying to use a template, but then I basically did give up. So I'm afraid that we will run into some troubles as well, but let's check it first. So let me So I have just updated the gist. It contains right now 2 other files. The one is called role list.razor and the other one is called add role model. And that's what we will try to add right now in our application. Cool. So first of all, we need this. Let's start with the add role model and new razor component. And I will call this add role model. And this add role model will contain basically the things from the gist. So it should be something like this one. Okay. And then I would want to have that gist is actually strange. It's rearranged some of the things here, I guess, or I am missing something, so I'm not sure. So for this one, we don't have CSS files. That's actually a good thing. Okay, so that's the role list. So let's right click and click here, add Blazor component. And we'll call this roles list. Okay, and here the markup would be something like this. Here I will delete the not authorized. We won't care about it right now. And here the authorized view. Here I would expect Visual Studio to give me this hint. Yeah, I want to use Microsoft whatever. Okay. Now here obviously we have some errors because we don't have all these models that we have, and yeah, those one we will have to create. So let me then just start with the role list, I guess. So first of all, what we will need here is a page, and here we should arrive if we go, or if we are redirected from yum.roles. So it's basically what the nav link also contains. And then that is actually interesting now, because here is why we actually need the 2DB context. I will inject here an I service scope factory, and we'll come into why exactly do we need this when we'll implement all the functionality. But here's where the reason why we need 2DB context. Cool, and I guess this one is okay. We have injected it. So in the code behind, what we'll need here is a private list, and we'll use directly this identity role. I should also type it correctly using okay, and let's just call this roles. Let's initialize it to a new list. Okay, and then what I would also like to do is basically override expected override async plus the onInitialized async. So that's what we want to do here. And what we want to do here is actually retrieve the roles. And the roles we can retrieve via ASP.NET Core Identity, or we can retrieve them directly using the DB context in this case. So what I want to do here is, like in this component right now, or as I said, by default, all components, they should be, why do I still have errors? Theoretically, okay, this should be super admin, first of all. because I should be able to see this only if I am the super admin, and if I am authorized, we'll need to do these things here. So roles actually is okay right now, so I'm not sure what happens here. Cannot convert lambda expression to intended delegate type because because there are some actions here that are mentioned, and yeah, we'll have to implement them. Okay, cool. Now on this on initialize, what I want to do is to use the DB context. Now the thing is that this component, as said, by default is statically rendered. And this means that theoretically we could use. Okay, I see that the background music is too loud. Okay, I'll tune it down a little bit. Once more, okay, tuned down. So the idea is that this component right now is statically rendered, and theoretically we can use just a regular DB context to retrieve some information that we need. But if at a certain point, and we'll probably need to do this component I will also add, for instance, interactivity to it, then the problem is that I have actually plenty of videos on that, and especially on this new Blazor, exactly what the problems are. The idea is that the instance of the DB context will be created once, and it will live for the lifetime of the interactivity, which could be very long, and this is very bad due to a lot of different reasons. It will really bring us into a lot of places where we will get a lot of different error messages from entity framework, like an entity is already tracked, or just regular exceptions that hint towards concurrency and other stuff. So we should totally avoid that. So to avoid that, the way that we do this is to kind of like make sure that when we use the DB context, we make it as short-lived as possible. And to make it as short-lived as possible, we use the iService scope factory, and we create a scope that we will dispose immediately after we don't use it anymore. So what I will do here is I will say here using var context equals await, and here I would say for instance or let me do this another way. Instead of injecting iService scope factory, let me inject the DB context factory, IDB context factory. Because IDB context factory does exactly the same thing that I mentioned earlier, only that in fewer lines of code. So it offers you the possibility to create an instance of the DB context just when you need it, and to dispose it immediately afterward. So fdb context, that should be our DB context, and this should be the IDB context factory. Let me add the necessary using web data, and what other stuff do we have here? Entity framework core. Okay, and let's call this context factory. Now, the reason why I have registered also the context factory and the regular DB context is that the identity system, so Microsoft ASP.NET Core Identity, for the role manager, for the user manager, for the sign-in manager, and so on, it uses the regular DB context, so not DB context factory. But when I use the DB context in components that kind of like could have interactivity, then I want to make sure that I use the factory, that I create short-lived instances of the DB context. So that's why I actually want to use it. And then it will be await context factory, although I think this method is actually, okay, it has create context async. So this will create me an instance of the DB context, and since I use it with the using, it will dispose it basically when this context instance will not be used anymore. So that's the whole idea behind this. So what I can do right now is say that, for instance, roles equals await context and then roles, because that's kind of like what ASP.NET Core Identity, roles gives me in the DB context. And here I will have to list async. So this would give me the list of roles. And then basically what happens is that when I have the roles, they should kind of like be displayed in the page. Now, the only thing here that I need to do is also implement a method for delete role, because that would kind of like also give me the opportunity to not have errors anymore. And the reason for this delete role is because we have this delete button, and here in this delete role, basically we need to kind of like delete the role. So we need to implement this delete role method. This one would be then a private async task delete role, and here I will get an identity role that needs to be deleted. And here I will do exactly the same thing. I will first create using var context. Sorry, my Visual Studio just stopped working. I just hope it doesn't crash right now. Hello from India, somebody joined us. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. So you see the joy of working with Visual Studio. That's awesome. And the reason I don't use Rider is because, at least I don't know, I downloaded the latest Rider version and .NET 8 is still not fully supported, so Blazor still doesn't work with different render modes. It just gives me exceptions and errors, basically. So that's unfortunately not usable at the moment. So that's why I'm stuck with Visual Studio, unfortunately. And this is the joy of working with Visual Studio. You get this. So let me see, what did it save? Okay, now till everything loads again. Okay, so async task delete role. So as said, I will have here using var context equals await context factory create stuff. So it's amazing, not necessarily in a good way. Cool. So what we want to do here is right now we want, basically based on the role that we get, we just simply want to remove it. So what we will do here, since we will get the entire identity role, we can simply say context dot roles dot remove, and I can say, now why does this create async? Create db context. This happens when IntelliSense is not working, and I guess it's still loading behind. So we remove this, and then we await context dot save changes async. And the other thing that we want to do here is, after we know that everything is okay, roles remove, and we just remove the role also from the list. Obviously here you would need to add some try catch. So as mentioned also during the other stream, here I just will concentrate on the functionality like a proof of concept style. So I won't, at least for now, spend time in implementing everything like exception handling strategies and things like that. But eventually, during the entire lifetime of this stream series, I guess we will also get into that part. So now we have the delete role, and now I think that we shouldn't have any errors anymore. Yes, and that's kind of like correct. So right now, everything seems to be okay. Now, one thing that we see here is that this is the roles list. And here, this will contain add role model. That's kind of like some things that we will need to implement afterwards. But I think it should also work already. I think it should also work. So let me just run the application and see if the redirection works to this page and if I can basically open the models. Right now, obviously, I should also have one role in there because I have the super admin role that, okay, we still have builders. So, because on the add role button, okay, on the model. Yep, here we also need to kind of like implement some stuff. But you know, yeah, we will need to implement some stuff there as well. Let me go to the add role. Where is it? So yeah, this is the add role model. Okay. So what we'll need here is, first of all, we have a submit button, so I need here this submit new role, and I have to implement this method obviously first. Public async task submit new role. I guess this was the naming. Yes, it was okay. And I will get all the informations from a form. This is a very basic form in which I use this input text with new role name. And I also have to bind it to the value. So I need to create this field first. So one thing that I will create here is public required string new role name get set, and I know this is not really good practice, but right now I will just initialize it to an empty string so that I don't get null reference exceptions. Now the idea is that this information I will get from a form, and in Blazor, at least in the newest one, we have the supply parameter from form attribute that we can use, and it will map basically this new role. It will bind to this property that I have created right here. So when I submit the form, this will have the value that I place basically in that input box. So I guess that should be okay for now. At least I don't have any exceptions. So everything should work. At least once again, I just want to make sure that that the page is working and that I am able to see the role and then maybe add the model to create a new one. So the application is starting. It's this one. Why not VS Code? It's fast, simple, and free. No, that's Visual Studio Community is also free that I'm using basically right now. So, so that's not really an argument, but yeah, I can see that it kind of like makes sense. Okay, invalid operation object type, smart school features, roles, add role model does not have a property matching the name on role edit. Yep, cool. Yeah, this is when you work with pre-created HTML. So the problem here is that in this role list, we have here add role model, we have this update roles on role edit. So first on the model, we need to add this. So let me go back to the add role model. So here onto the add role model, what I will also need is event callback, because when a new role is added, I want to kind of like notify the parent component, which in this case is the role list, that hey, this new role was added. So I want to send basically this notification. I have this public event callback, and it will be an event callback that will send back an identity role. Identity role, probably using. So I'm not accustomed with VS Code for .NET development, but maybe I should also look into that. That might also be some interesting thing. Okay, so I have this identity role. And let's call this event callback on role edit. Okay, and this event callback, basically that's a parameter that the parent component is using. So I need to kind of like mark it with this parameter. And then one other thing that I want to do here is, now for now, I guess it's okay. Now this is the child component, and the roles list is the parent component where I actually use this. And here you see that there is on role added. So I say that, hey, child component model, when you add a new role, just notify me that you added a role, and then I will implement the logic that needs to be implemented, which is this update roles. Okay, so what I'll do here is I will actually come back and also implement this method private. This doesn't need to be async, it can be void update role async. And here in this update roles async, I will get an identity role. That's what the child component will send me basically when this is invoked. And then what I can do here is roles.add. Here I can just add the role that the child component successfully added. Okay, so right now we can give it another try. Who is using VS Code for .NET development? From all of you that you are watching, and what is your experience with it? Like, I mean, in day-to-day work, on the projects that you are working on. Okay, let's go on roles. And I see, obviously the add role model is not working. Yay. Because the model should theoretically open right now, but it doesn't really open. So let's check that. So let me go here. This is the model itself. Let me go to the parent and let's try to get this working. So the idea is here that here I have a button. And here in this button, I also have the model. Using Aspire really slows the debug process, as it's really suitable to use it and start development. Actually, to be honest, it's not about Aspire right now that it's kind of like makes it slow. It's because on the same computer, I'm doing the development, I'm doing the streaming, I'm doing the video encoding. So it's just one, let's say, regular laptop. Well, 4 years ago when I bought it was very, very good one and expensive one. But everything is just on this laptop, so it's not because of Aspire. Aspire maybe surely it's a little bit slower than without it, but it's not what you see on stream. So the delay that you see on stream is because of a lot of other stuff that's running on the computer right now, and it's basically maxed out right now. Okay, so let's take a look. So we have this button, which is the data bootstrap toggle, and it toggles a model. Okay, and the target is called error model, which should be the ID of what we have here. Okay, so let's go to the error model and let's try to get rid here of all this stuff. So model is something that comes from bootstrap. Bootstrap we already have, so I will delete this one. I would have here this error model. I think we don't really need this tab index at all. Then I think role is dialog and area hidden is true, and totem Let's see it right now. I think interactivity is missing. Yeah, but right now, I kind of like interactivity doesn't really stop me here, because the fact that the model opens or not, it's or the opening of the model should be based only on the bootstrap, let's say, functionalities, like with the data toggle. So it's not interactivity by itself, let's say. Let me go here once again. I don't know, maybe let's refresh this. No, it still will not open. That's kind of like very annoying here. And I really don't get, because this is the model, this is the ID. So this is what we are referencing here. And all the other stuff that comes afterwards, that kind of like doesn't really need to do anything. I think something, because we have here this model, but then we have here also this button. This is close. This is for closing. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of like strange. Let me just go to something else here. Let's try to make it as simple as possible. So once again, if we go back to our roles list, so we have this button which has this type button, data bootstrap toggle, it should be model, and data bootstrap target, it should be error model, which is correct here. Cool. So let me go now to this add role model, and here I have model. I think I can still use the fade, because the fade is actually a class that comes from bootstrap. ID error model, I think it should be the same. Let me error model, yeah, it's the same name, so it corresponds to it. Okay, I have this role, which is then that it is a dialog area hidden that should be on true, and also maybe, but no. I don't know, maybe let's set the tab index back to -1, but I'm really not sure that this is the problem. Cool. To not really lose a lot of time on this one, I think I will just open or display this component directly from Blazor. But then the problem is that, well, I cannot kind of like simply activate Bootstrap from Blazor, or theoretically probably I could if I have some strings, but I have to find the working solution first. Yeah, that's a little bit strange. I'm really not sure what my models are not working, because on the other project from where I have kind of like worked before, everything works basically, but here it seems it doesn't. And I have added bootstrap because otherwise I wouldn't have the buttons and the colors and everything that's basically from bootstrap. But it's still not working. You know what? Let me add here with this inspect element, because I have this one, but it simply doesn't display it. So it has the model dialog. It's here, but it simply doesn't open it. ID is error model. And this is a model, so yeah, I really don't get it why it's not working. Like, it's regular bootstrap stuff, it should work, so I really don't get it. Like, I have it literally working on the other application, which is very, very strange. There's some CSS issue, yeah, for sure it's some. Did I have some JS errors? No, there is no JS error. Basically loads everything. Yeah, I did look at the browser console just previously. It's basically empty. Theoretically, these bootstrap model openings, they shouldn't use basically, or maybe they use some JavaScript under the hood, but I have added everything, so no errors in the console, no errors in the network, so basically everything is fine. Probably something is just simply misconfigured. So let me just do it another way in this case. Okay, let me have this add role model. Which version of Bootstrap? It's 5. And I get it from the CDN. I can show you. It's this one here. But you know what? I see that I don't have any Bootstrap related JavaScript, and I think I should still need that as well. Yes, so let me just have this here. I think I'm missing the JavaScript, and possibly that's the issue. Okay, JS. jQuery simbuild full version is also supported. So I guess I need to take all those and place them in the app.razor. Okay. So I think I forgot to do this, and this might have been the issue. This might have been the issue also with the button previously in the bar, in the nav menu. Oh, no. Okay. So we have everything that we need from this perspective. So let's run the application again. Okay, this one has, okay, sorry. I was thinking it's the correct version if they place it on their documentation, but it seems I was wrong. Because this is version 4.4, that's correct. So what is this? Okay, examples, docs, get started. Okay, I have this one, and I think I need this one. So now I don't need jQuery anymore. Ah. So Popper and Bootstrap. Okay, so in the end, these are the links that I need to include. Thank you very much for noticing that I was kind of like having the links for the old version. That's kind of like correct. Okay, so let's use the hot reload. Now I have this application running. But now I think I have deleted all the stuff. Unable change. Okay, stop debugging. I have to restart it again because I have made changes here to the. Okay, why doesn't it show me here an error? Name popper.js does not exist in the current context. Why would you do that? It's a script tag. Okay, never mind. On line 10, I mean also the CSS. I did the same thing with the CSS. Yes, it's the same thing with the CSS. Oh my god. So that's strange. So you go on Google, get Bootstrap, and then you would think it's the new version. But CSS and JS. I guess this would be the correct CSS. And in fact, that's true because in version 4 of Bootstrap, they didn't have those attributes with data bootstrap toggle. It was a little bit different. Or the syntax for that specific toggling was a little bit different. And now obviously it didn't copy everything, but I think it should be something like this. And it still gives me the error that it does not exist in the current context. So probably because of the @ here, but yeah, it's just a script tag. Yeah, let's try again. No. Oh, it actually doesn't allow me to do this. Oh my god. But why are you doing this? And probably if I don't use the @ probably it will not work because I guess it will be... I don't know, how should I do this? Just escape this? That's strange. Yeah, but I think if I remove the poppers there will be some other stuff in Bootstrap that will not work, I guess. So not sure exactly what, but as you can see with the front end I'm really not very good, and it always causes me a lot of headaches. Okay, let's try again. So I had the old version of Bootstrap all along in this application. That's demoralizing. Definitely demoralizing. Roles. Now there is a problem that when I click on it, basically it kind of like takes a long time to load, but voila. Thank you very much. Shanavas, or I'm not sure how to double @ to escape. Okay, thank you very much for this. And I can close it, and I can open it, and I can close it, and cool. So at least we are good with that. Now there is one problem with this with this thing, and I don't really like it. If we go here, let me just open here and the network. There is one thing that I don't really like at all. Network, I guess it's okay. If I go here on roles, now obviously it goes very fast because it's the first, it has cached this information. It's kind of like it didn't redirect me immediately. It kind of like only redirected me when it did get the data. Until then, I still saw that hello world, which is not optimal. Yeah, but I think the nav menu, yeah, let's try it out. Because I think I know, because from the nav menu I removed a lot of stuff, so I think I won't bother with the nav menu right now. We just lose a lot of time once again. I will fix this afterwards. So add role model. Now what we need to do here is we have this add role functionality. So this is something that we already have, but the idea is that this component, so this is the add role model. So this component, this needs to be rendered. Not this one. On initialized async. You know, let's do it differently because I'm curious to see about to see something. Private, I think I can bool is loadings get set. So this will have the default value of false. So what we'll do after we have the roles, we'll set the is loading false. Okay, let's set this to true by default, and then we set it to false. And the only thing that we will do here is I will have here if. So if is loading, then I will have just a div right now. Later we can add another component with loaders or something like this. And else, so if I have the data, then what I want to do is I want to move everything here. Although, if I think again, basically what I want to do is I want to have this if inside the authorized, and inside the authorized. Okay, and then if not, I will just have this div and this other div. So basically everything I will have in the else. Okay, so that it will show the loading message properly and initially load faster. Yeah, theoretically yes. Stream rendering, that's actually another way to do this. And actually, that's exactly the way that we will do this. How was it? It was with attribute, no? Stream rendering, correct. And now, theoretically, it should show this one with stream rendering. So let's run the application once again. Okay, see, it takes some time, so roles. But why is it? That's something that it's not okay. because it still didn't load as fast as it should have. You know what? I will close it. I will start again, and I will also open the network to see exactly if the stream rendering actually works. Maybe I edited. So maybe I just forgot the syntax. Okay. Maybe I specified the attribute wrong. Stream rendering attribute. And I have to enable it with true. Okay. I forgot that. I thought it would set it by default true. Okay. So let's run again. But still, I will also use the network tools to see if the stream rendering actually works. It's kind of cool because on the network tools, you can really see how the call is made and how it waits, and then it suddenly gets data. So it's kind of like cool that. Okay, web application running. Go on the network and let's go on roles. Yeah, so theoretically the stream rendering, it seemed that it worked, but I don't know, it was still, I was still not seeing immediately this loading, which is strange. Which is very, very strange. Obviously this time it will be very fast. Let's try it again. I really don't get what the problem is. So this is attribute stream rendering set to true, but it kind of like, so on the network I saw that kind of like it was everything okay, but the behavior itself, I was still seeing the hello world after even after the initial call has already been made. So that's kind of like a little bit true. Strange. So I don't need this right now. I want to open this one. So I'm on the network. So yeah, it's strange. It's very strange. Because the stream rendering obviously works. But why does this happen? Let me place a method breakpoint here. To the term initialized. Let me go back to home. Let me go back to roles. So we hit this once. So we don't hit this twice. So I really don't understand what happens here right now. Because it should kind of like immediately when you click, it should redirect and you should already see the loading message. Because it already made the call, but I was seeing still hello world, which is, I'll do it once again. And obviously this is the kind of problem that in real applications, well, they are not really acceptable. Because basically the user sees that, yeah, I clicked on a button and basically nothing happened. And that's... Maybe the if condition is in authorized view. Yeah, but it was not, just take a look. So when I click on roles, it should immediately display loading data, basically, right when the URL will change. but instead it will still display hello world for 2 seconds and then loading data and then it shows the data. Yeah, but the idea was that I wouldn't want it to put it outside, but yeah, let's try it. Because the entire page should actually be under authorized view. So what are you saying? Maybe if the if condition is in authorized view, so not in authorized but in authorized view. Okay, let's move it. Then we basically need to move the entire authorized. Actually, but how? What do you mean? Because it's authorized view, maybe outside the authorized view. Then I wouldn't want to display loading for users that are not authorized to actually see the page at all. So I still think that the if okay, and then but that kind of like wouldn't make any sense to me. Because then I would need to kind of like display conditionally if authorized or not authorized, because let's run it like this. It still behave the same. It's exactly the same behavior. Yeah, so I don't really understand why this happens. You know what I will do? I will no. So here it was true. What I will do here is authorize view roles, super admin authorize is loading and everything is okay. Sorry for this, but what I will do here is I will not stream rendering. I just give up, and I would render mode, and here theoretically what we can do is we can have new interactive server render mode, and we will set the pre-render false. And now the entire component, the entire page should be basically have interactive server render mode, and it should kind of like be immediately. But yeah, this is, this is the type of little things that you encounter with this new Blazor that kind of like make it strange to work with it. And it's stranger because in the, let's say, standard Blazor template, where it is not the fetch weather, fetch data, it's not in an authorization view, then basically everything it works fine. But it seems that as soon as you have it in an authorized view, you just have this delay. And now, since we are having with the server, now we are going immediately, but still something happens here. I go crazy with this new Blazor. So now everything should be rendered. Basically, a new WebSockets connection should be created right when I do this. And it should go like in a regular Blazor server in this case. It should be fast, basically. So it's strange. Yep, it's totally strange. Cool. Let me just try it once again. For render mode, I have taken away everything. So this should be kind of like interactively rendered right now. Let's run it again and see if the WebSockets connection is created. And I don't want to move the if condition outside the authorize. That's because I don't want users to see loading if they don't even have access to that data. So here what I want to look after is the WebSockets connection. And right when I click on this, I would expect to see a WebSockets connection here. And yeah, the WebSockets connection is correct. I am redirected to this component, but the loading is because it cannot identify if I am authorized or not until it gets the data. So it's better to stick with .NET 6 or 7. I don't have a final opinion on this yet, but I tend to say yes. Because even when I kind of like worked on the initial project, like preparing for this stream, I had a lot of headaches with the new Blazor. So basically the problem right now here is that probably also the pre-rendering was working fine, but the problem is that it doesn't know if you are authorized or not until you get the data somehow. And I don't really get that. Why is that the case? So that's really strange. That's totally strange. But for now, you know, I won't dwell into this for much longer. I will just simply go forward. So what I would like to do now is kind of like add this functionality of adding a new role, which I already have this add roles role model. And the only thing that I need to do is kind of like implement this submit role. And this is a child component of a parent component that is interactively rendered. So theoretically, this will also be interactively rendered. So in this case, we need to be aware about how we are using the DB context once again. Cool. So if we go back to this add role, then here basically the things that we want to do is kind of like very, very simple. Like, first of all, we also want to inject here DB context factory of FDB context. Probably I need to add some usings here, or EF core. Obviously I have also to spell it correctly. And then to my folder where I have this FDB context, and let's call it context factory. Cool. So once we have the context factory, the only thing that we need to do is var context equals await create DB context async, and this would be me create a DB context. Then I will also need the role manager from from ASP.NET Core Identity. Checked role manager of identity role. Let's call it role manager. And I will need this because I will need to add the role through the role manager so that I'm sure that everything is added to the databases or to the database and tables as it should be. So, but you know that the role manager it will have a scoped instance of the DB context, and if the DB context is in an interactively rendered component, so basically I can't use this factory, so I will have to use the iService scope factory to create my own scope, and in the scope I will resolve both the DB context if needed and the role manager. So iService scope factory. Okay, now I have an error. So now what I would have to do is I will not create the context directly, but I will create a scope first. Var scope equals scope factory no y service scope factory dot hello IntelliSense, what are you doing? No, I don't want an async scope, just a regular one in this case. Okay, so this gives me a scope, and when I have a scope, what I can do is var role manager equals scope service provider dot get required service, and this would be, let's maybe move on another line. Why don't you do the indentation correctly? So identity role. Okay, so this will give me the role manager. Then using the role manager, var results equals crazy. Oh my god. Yeah, seems I'm a little bit too tired. So it's the role manager, and here we need a new role. Var role equals new identity role, and we create this role based on the new role name that we have in the form, and then we specify that we want to create this role, and we also await this, because otherwise it's fire and forget. And once the role is added, I have to notify the parent component by invoking this event callback. I will have await on role added.invoke async, and I will provide the new identity role that was just created. And then I will just new role name. I will set this once again to string.empty. Cool. So this should actually add a new role. Now, once the role is added, I invoke the parent component. The parent component has wired up basically, where is it? This update roles method to it. So it will get the new role and it will add it to the list. So I would expect that it would get automatically added to the list. So let's run the application. Yeah, I will do it regularly every week. Last week I did it on Sunday, but this week I couldn't do it on Sunday, and probably next week I will also not be able to do it on Sunday. I will have to do it on Monday because next weekend I will have to travel to Bucharest. And thank you very much for your donation. It's very much appreciated. So let's go here on the local host. And we have these roles. Obviously, we have this issue that I hate a lot, but I will see how I can work around it. So now I have add new role, and let's call the new role simply manager. And it worked. You see that kind of like it was added. Now I have to manually close this because it's just based on Bootstrap and JavaScript. But if I reload this, you will see that I have both of them, which is kind of cool. Now I have this delete, and I think this should actually also work. So if I delete, not the super admin, but the manager, it did delete it. And let me just refresh. So it deleted also from the database. Theoretically, right now I can add student. So the role was added. I can add teacher. Let's add. I can add parent. Add. So now I have roles in my identity system. So when I create users, I will be able to assign them roles if needed, which is kind of cool, I guess. So now we have everything working with this roles page. We have, let me just for fun delete it once again, the last one. Yeah, it works. Cool. So I'm really happy that this works. I'm not happy that the loading time is kind of like weird. It's very weird, even if my entire page is rendered on the server. Like the roles list is rendered on the server right now, with pre-rendering set to false. So it shouldn't pre-render anything. And it's still kind of like, probably because I'm into this authorized view, kind of like it doesn't really. But let me try one last thing. But we move this everything outside of the authorized, and kind of like it. No, I don't see it how it should be different this time. So I guess we'll keep it this way. Cool. So I think then we can call it a day for today with live stream. So yeah, thank you everybody once again very much for watching. For those of you who might be newer here and just missed this information, I have just started 1 week ago a new newsletter that I hope and I think it is different than most of the other newsletters. So I would kindly invite you to subscribe to this newsletter, and you will get some very I think nice stuff regarding how we can think about software in a, let's say, more engineering way. So it focuses more on our way to look at problems as developers, not how we code. So it's not about becoming better coders, but it's about becoming better engineers. So that's the main focus of this newsletter. So if you want, you can just subscribe there. So if you want to get access to the source code, and I will always post the source code of the solution just like it is when I finish the stream, but this source code is made available only for CodeWrinkles members. So if you want to get access to the source code, you need to click the join button of the membership, and you can join on any level. So the source code for the live streams I made available at all or for all members, no matter what the level. So you can go even on the supporter level, which is the lowest one, and you will still get access to the source code. But that's the only way that I'm sharing the source code for this live stream. So I don't make it publicly available. And I hope you can understand that, because it kind of like takes a lot of time to prepare for the stream, then to do the streams and all the stuff. So yeah, I hope to also see you there as a member. As a member, you also get some nice things, like we have a CodeWrinkles community on Discord, a Discord server that is member only. And there we have a lot of discussions, like even code reviews and people asking things that they have at work and sharing experiences. We do regular hangouts and we talk about different stuff about, well, usual work, but also what happens in the .NET ecosystem and so on and so forth. So If you want to join the membership, I guess that you would have kind of like some very nice benefits out of it. Thank you for doing. I really like your approach to the newsletter. Improving our thinking about problems is an important and a new tool. Yeah, I also think the same way, and I can promise you that the next newsletter, that I hope it will come on Thursday. Initially, I said I want to make it bi-weekly, but since I see that there were kind of like a lot of people that subscribed pretty quickly to the newsletter, I thought maybe I'll try to do it weekly. And this time, basically, the topic of the newsletter would be something that we developers usually don't think about when we write an application or try to solve something, but that CTOs and companies always look at, because we tend to always think about the fact that, hey, we always have enough CPU, we always have enough memory, so we don't care about that. But the reality of the company is that each hertz of the CPU and each byte of the memory, it costs money for the company. So the topic or the question in the newsletter will be, is your application breaking the bank? I will kind of like try to walk you through how CTOs usually try to measure exactly how much an application actually costs based on the resources that they consume. Because if you deploy them to Azure, each application, it generates costs. And then obviously also there will be some hints and things, some practical advice that we can easily do as developers to make sure to improve basically the resources of the applications that we build, so that they don't break the bank of our customers. That would be the topic for this Thursday. So yeah, hopefully this will be useful. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for today. Thank you once again very much for tuning in. I will create and schedule the stream for next week. It will also be on Monday. It will also be at the same hour, and I will think about how we can improve to kind of like don't get stuck in things with the front end like we did in this stream. I thought that the idea that I had with the GIST would work actually fine, and in fact it seems that it didn't really quite work so well. But yeah, I'll try my best to find a way so that we don't lose so much time on troubleshooting CSS and bootstrap stuff, but instead that we focus more time on creating our services, creating our models, creating our Blazor functionality, and starting to see more services in that .NET Aspire console. That's something that I'm also eager about to hear and see basically in this stream. And I thought that maybe in this one we could already start to work on another service, but unfortunately, yeah, we got stuck with Bootstrap, and obviously it was my fault because I added the wrong Bootstrap version when I added it in the previous stream. Seems that when you Google on let's say get started with Bootstrap and you go to this get Bootstrap, you still need to be careful on the version, because I was assuming I'm on the latest version, but in fact I was not. So yeah, that was the main problem, but now it's fixed, so next time it should go smoother than now. So I wish you a great day for those of you who, well, more or less have just started the day, and I wish you a good night to all of you who are maybe in India or other time zones where it's very late. And yeah, see you next week, hear you next week, and until then we'll keep in touch through all the social channels and YouTube, and yeah, feel free to always get in touch with me. Have a great day. Bye.